Linda Scocker here. Today I'm going to show you how to make this pretty leaf washcloth. It's a really great gift idea, and I'm teaching a class at Skein Sisters to show you how to make one. It's really good for beginners who've just learnt to knit and like to learn a little bit more, like how to do increases and yarn overs and make an icord. Let's get started. If you want to download the PDF version of the pattern, then you can click on the link below in the description box. That will take you to my Ravelry store. Otherwise, follow along and you can find out how to make it here. So I have used a 10-ply cotton. It's or worsted weight, depending on where you're from. This one is Fiddlesticks Finch, but I have also successfully made it in Knit Picks Dishy. We're going to cast on 3 stitches. Now you can use any cast on method you like. I'm just going to use the cable cast on method today. So that's where you start with a slip knot and then you insert your needles between the stitches, not into the stitch, but just between them like this. Not like that. Start again. Like this. And then wrap your yarn around and then pull it through and pop it on your needle. Okay, so there we have 3 stitches to begin. So we're going to start at the point and then work our way up and finish with the icord, which is why I'm doing a recap video, because in the class we might not get to all the bits and pieces. I'll put chapter headings down below so you can just go up to where you're up to. Now we're going to knit those 3 stitches. Just start by knitting those 3 and do that like this. And then we'll have, this is a great colour. Okay, I think it's called chartreuse. Right, so I'm going to knit the first stitch, and this is where the first lot of increases come in. Now you can do a knit front back if you like, but if you want to follow the pattern and learn some of these techniques which will really help you down the track in other patterns, then I recommend using my make one left and make one right. So the first one we're doing is make one right, which is where you grab the bar between the 2 stitches, between 2 columns of stitches, which in this case is this little bar here, and you put it on the left hand needle. Now I like to pick it up with my left hand needle, but if you pick it up with your right, then just make sure you put it on the correct way. So if we were to knit here, we're going to make a hole. We don't want a hole, so we're going to knit it through the front loop. Now use your index finger to push the stitch down the needle a little bit. It gives you some room to stick the needle in, and then knit that little made stitch. So that's a make one right. Then we're going to knit the middle stitch and then make one left. So make one left is where you pick up the bar, which is this one here, that one there. You do that, make sure that you go from the front to the back. So this time you can see that it's that way. Now it doesn't matter if you use your left needle or your right needle to pick it up, but you just want it to look like that on the needle. So if we knit here, we're going to make a hole. Don't want that, so we're going to knit it through the back loop so that we close the hole. And there we go. And then knit another one. So I've got other videos that go through in more detail how to do make one left and make one rights. We're going to be doing it a lot now, just repeating it over and over, but I haven't really explained that much about it. So you're just going to, if you need more information, just have a look at those links that I put down below. Now on the other side of the work, this is going to be the wrong side, with just plain knitting. And that's the same all the way through the whole pattern up until towards the end of the lace section. So let's just do that. We're knitting, just knitting, no increasing, no anything on that side. So the best way to help yourself not have to follow the pattern as you go along is to pop a marker on the right side of the work. So you know that on the right side is the side that you have to do all the making and the increasing, but on the wrong side, it's free. It's a free ride. You just knit. So that really helps so that you don't have to follow the pattern line by line all the time. So I'm just going to pick up a marker here, all tangled, and I'm going to pop it on this side, which is the right side. In the pattern, it tells you, reminds you which is right and which is wrong all the time. But yeah, so that's just going, not on the needles, it's just going in the work. We'll move that up later if we need to. Just so that we know that when we're on this side, we have to do the increasing, and when we're on that side, we just do plain knitting. Okay, so row 3, we're going to knit the first 3 stitches. Now this is going to become the border. So as we go along, once we get the right number of stitches on the needle, you'll see a bit of a pattern happening, and hopefully won't need to refer to the pattern all the time. Make one right, so that's when we scoop from behind, pick up that bar from behind, and knit it, and then knit the last 2 stitches. Cool. Done. It's unusual for me to be doing something flat. Usually I knit in a round. So this is fun, interesting. Okay, you could use straight needles, of course, for this as well. I'm just using circulars because that's what I use all the time. So this is the wrong side, so I'm just plain old knitting. And then we're knitting on this side. So the whole thing is made in garter stitch, which is knit every row. Okay, we are, how many stitches do we have? 1, 2, 3, so we've only got 6. So if you can count your stitches, then that will give you an idea of where you're up to in the pattern if you've lost track. So we must be up to row 5. So knit 1, 2, 3, then we're going to make one right in the middle. Now what's the difference between make one right and make one left? The difference is that one of them leans to the left and one of them leans to the right, and we want that sometimes in lace work when we're making it something intricate. It's not as important on something like this. So if you're having trouble with one or the other, then just do the other one. As long as you're consistent, it's fine. On the wrong side, so we're just going to knit this. Now I'm going to keep knitting until we have a bit of a rhythm, and then I'll let you get on with it, and then I'll come back when it's time to do the lace. I'd like to show you how to do the make one right, make one left in Continental as well. I'll put the link, the chapter heading below when I do that, so if that's what you want to skip ahead to. Right, so we're on the right side again, so that means we've got increasing to do. So we're knitting 3, so I've got the border on each side, and that's a plain 3. You could call that a selvage if you like. And then there's a make one right, and now this is where the make one left comes back. So we've got make one right, so 3 border stitches, then that's where the make one right is on the right hand side of the cloth. That's just so you can remember again, so you don't have to read the pattern all the time. Then you've got knit one in the middle, and then we're going to make one left on the left hand side. So the left one is where you go from the front to the back, and knit it through the back loop. And then let's knit the last 3 stitches, which is the border on the left hand side. So this is how we're getting along. We're creating border on both sides, and then we're going to have plain middle stitches, and there's going to be increases on either side of the border here. Okay, this is the wrong side, so we just just knitting. I'll do one more in English so you can see what's happening, and then in the pattern it tells you just to repeat until you get to a certain number of stitches. Oh, so until there are 45 stitches on your needle. Okay, plain. And now let's turn. Okay, so knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Make one right, which is from back to front, because I'll be right back, and you make one right on the right hand side. Knit it through the front loop so we don't make a hole. It's nice to see it twists. Then you knit the middle stitches. Until 3 stitches remain, and then you make one left. Pick it up from the front to the back, and then knit it through the back loop again, twisting it, and then knit the last 3 stitches. So that is the row you'll repeat until you have 45 stitches on the needles, okay? And always, every wrong side row is just plain. Okay, so I'm going to switch to Continental. So this is the plain row. Okay, flip. And then this is the increase row. So we get 3 stitches, 3. We make one right because it's on the right hand side. That's back to front. And through the front loop, twisting it. And knit until you have 3 stitches remaining. And then make one left, which is on the left hand side, which is picking it up from the front to the back and knitting it through the back loop. Okay, so repeat until you have 45 stitches, and then come back. I'll come back and I'll show you how to do the lace part at the end. And then we'll do the icord after that. And this is the 50th row. Coming to the end of. Okay, great. So now row 51. We're on a right side row, and the next thing we're going to do is start some decreases. So we're going to go to the halfway mark and just get rid of 1 stitch right in the center, because for the next part, the lace part, we need an even number. So I just want to remove 1 stitch there in the middle. So I'm going to count 21, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Knit 2 together in my Continental way, assuming you know how to do a knit 2 together the English way, and then knit the rest of the stitches. And now we'll have 44 stitches on the needles. So The following row is going to be just a plain one again, knit row with no increases or decreases, and then there's going to be some more action in row 53. So that's that. Row 52, I'll just speed through. Okay, we're up to the right side row again, and this is row 53. So here we go. We're going to do some decreases now. Knit the first 3 border stitches, and then after that we're going to do an SSK. This is a slip slip knit, which is a funny name for what we actually do with a slip slip knit, but anyway, what I'm going to do is slip the first stitch knitwise. When it says knitwise, it means insert your needle as if you're going to knit. I might just change to English for this as well. So you're going to slip one stitch this way, then slip a second stitch this way. Now, what I didn't do was slip them both at the same time. It just orients the stitches a little differently, and what you want to achieve from an SSK is a left-leaning decrease. So you'll see many descriptions of how to do that, but the most common one is this. So you slip both stitches one at a time, and then with your left needle, insert it back into those 2 stitches at the front like this, and then knit them both together like that. Okay, and so you end up with a left leaning, slightly pointing towards the left decrease. Okay, that's an SSK. Then I'm going to knit 13 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just lift my words so it doesn't wobble. 6, 7. Oh, did I lose count? I think I lost count. Let's go back. Here's my SSK. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 stitches, and then we're going to do another SSK. Let's do it again. So slip 1, slip 2, put your needle back into them both, and then knit them through the back loop like that. SSK. Now we're going to do a yarn over. So when you're English knitting, to do a yarn over, you just bring your yarn to the front, and then you go to knit 2 together, and that creates the yarn over at the same time. So there you have it. There's your yarn over that got created because I was knitting my work from the front. It's the mistake that beginners make all the time by accident. This time it's purposeful. We want that hole. Okay, so that is a knit 2 together, and then I want you to place a marker. Oh, good point. I think I don't have one, so I'm going to pinch this one. It'd be good if you had a second one, so you didn't have to do that. Now I'm going to put this one on the needle this time because we're going to slip it when we come to it. Oops. So just make it go to the front. All right, so that was we did a knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, place marker, and then we're going to do an SSK, so another one. So push 2 stitches, insert your needle, knit them through the back loop. That's 1 SSK, yarn over, which is yarn forward really in English style knitting, yarn forward, and then knit 2 together. So that yarn over is getting created now as we knit the next 2 stitches like that. And so now let's have a close look. What have we got here? We've got the border stitches and then an SSK, then all of these 13 stitches, then another SSK, then a yarn over, knit 2 together, the marker, then an SSK, a yarn over, and a knit 2 together. So we've got 2 sets of those. And then we're going to knit 13, which will bring us to the border again. So we'll just go through those until, oops, we get to the last 5 stitches. So what we're doing here is setting up the top of the washer, ready to make some nice lace. Okie dokie, we've got 5 stitches left and we're going to knit 2 together. So just insert your needle into 2 stitches and knit them together like that, and then knit 3, last 3. Okay, so that's the beginning of the holes at the top. Then the next row, guess what, is plain still. So this is the wrong side, so there's nothing to do on the wrong side except knit. I'll just whiz through this. Right. We've decreased to 40 stitches now. When you come to the marker, yep, that's the yarn over, by the way. So you just knit over it like that. There. When you come to the marker, you just move it from one needle to the next, and it carries on up the work. There's your other yarn over, so just knit it like that. The marker's going to stay there right up until the end, because it will help us know where the middle of the lace is. There's a little ridge there, so it just keeps all the holes on track if we know where the middle is. Just knit to the end. Okay, flip it. And now this is row 55. Row 55. English. Knit it again. Right, so we've got knit the 3 border stitches. 1, 2, 3. Then SSK, slip, slip, knit. Then we're going to knit to 4 stitches before the marker. Okay, so when you start using markers in your work, these are the sort of instructions that you'll come across. They're used as an anchor point, and then you have to, it's easier than telling you to knit, 400 stitches. It's just easy to say knit until 4 stitches before the marker. Not that we have 400 stitches here, but maybe in a shawl or something down the track. There's 5, so now there's another one, and now that's easy to visualize. 1, 2, 3, 4 before you hit the marker. So that's what that means. And then we're going to do that same lace we were doing before. So slip, slip, knit, yarn over or yarn forward, and then knit 2 together. And the yarn over gets created when you complete the next stitch, like that. Okay, now the yarn overs are stacking on top of each other, and these 2 togethers are stacking on top of each other. And it's going to create a spine in the middle of the washer. Slip the marker, just move it across, and then again I'm going to do a slip, slip, knit, then a yarn over or yarn forward, and a knit two together. There you go. And then we're going to knit until 5 stitches remain. I'll just switch to Continental and do that again so you can see how to do those SSKs and knit two togethers with Continental. Oops, too many. There's 5 till the end. I'm going to knit two together and then knit the last 3 stitches. Okay, we're going to knit row 56. It's a wrong side row, so there's no decreasing or increasing. I'm just going to do a plain knit row and slip the marker when we come to it. We're repeating rows 55 and 56, the previous 2 rows, until we're down to 16 stitches. So this will give us a chance, give me a chance to show you how to do it with Continental, and if you don't want to see that, you can just skip ahead, okay? So skip ahead until you have 16 stitches, and then I'll show you how to do the next part. But if you're a Continental knitter and you just want to see me do the SSK and knit two together in Continental, then just keep watching. Just need to go back and remember what I'm doing. Okay. So we've got knit 3, the border stitches, and then an SSK. So I slip, slip, put my needle back in, and then cross my working yarn, and then just use my finger to pull it down. Oh, that didn't work. To pull it down and then pop it out. Okay, so that's an SSK, and then I'm going to knit to 4 stitches before the marker. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then SSK again. So 1, 2, the needle back in, use my finger to pull it, and then push it through like that. Yarn over in Continental, you just grab the yarn like that. So you put your needle underneath, hold on to it as if like you would be holding onto the stitch, and then come in and do your next thing, which is a knit two together. So I'm going to put my needle into both. Again, cross over to grab the working yarn and pull it down with my index finger, and then pop it through like that. It's a bit of finger aerobics, but it's absolutely possible to do everything you do in English in Continental, of course. I also seem to have a longer thread here, where when I'm just plain knitting, it tends to be a little shorter. You know, that's just habit of letting go of my tension, but you do whatever works for you. So slip, slip, pop the needle back into the 2 stitches. I just bring my yarn over my needle and then hold it with my finger and pull it down until the needle pops out, and then pop it through. Okay, that's an SSK. Yarn over and then knit 2 together. Stick it in, put the yarn over the needle, and pull it through, and then pop it off. Okay. What was this? Knit 2 together. Now knit till 5 stitches remain. knit 2 together, and then 1, 2, 3. So keep knitting until you have 16 stitches on the needle. Okie dokes, we have 16 stitches on the needles, and I've knit row 66, which was just to a plain row, which was a wrong side row. Now I'm on the right side again, and the instructions say to either follow the written instructions or the chart. So these written instructions tell you exactly what the chart says, but some people would like to learn how to use a chart for future things. And yeah, this is just a little easy way to enter chart reading, I suppose. So because we're doing a flat piece of knitting, that means that when we read our chart, we're going to go from the bottom right hand corner, which is stitch 1, the first stitch on our needle, across, and then on the next row we're going to start at this end and knit back, and then here, and then knit across, and then up, and then knit back. That's a different way to how you would follow a chart if you were knitting in the round. If you're knitting in the round, you always start in the bottom right hand corner as well, but you come back to this point, so you're always going in one direction. So that's just one small distinction. If you're knitting a flat piece of knitting, then you need to go back and forth in your chart. Another, just a little tip that I use, I'll just hold that down because my legs of the camera are in the way. When you're following a chart like this, some people think that they need a piece of paper or whatever, tape or something, to go under the row that they're working on, which I guess is easy to help you follow your chart. But what I suggest to people is, rather than put the piece of paper under the row you're working on, put it above, so that when you go to the next row and the next row, you can see what your knitting is doing underneath. And that way you really get a picture of the fact that your yarn overs are on top of each other here, because you know what should be under when you read your knitting. So let's just have a look here. This chart is reflecting exactly what the knitting looks like. So see these purl bumps here, they're not purl bumps, they're garter ridge bumps. They're reflected here in the knitting itself. These yarn over holes, there they are there. These decreases, the knit 2 togethers and SSKs, you can see them here. So that's what the chart really should do, is help reflect what's actually the knitting in your hands. So you do get to it eventually. You need to be able to, one of the great things about learning to knit, and one of the things that makes you feel like you've progressed, is that you can actually read your knitting. So you can read what is on these needles. You can see here that these were knit stitches, because this is a finished row, just finished this previous row because my yarn's over here. So I can see, if I pull down, that all of these stitches were just plain knit. See, there's my knitted yarn overs. I know that that yarn over's been knit, and here is my plain knitted stitches. So now when I turn my work around to knit the next row, here are my garter bumps, because I knitted those, the bumps are facing me. So if I knit those, then I'm going to get this garter ridge fabric. That might sound a little confusing if you're a beginner, but it will make sense the more and more you knit and understand your knitting. So this chart, if it had been stocking stitch and there was no garter bumps at all, then these dots wouldn't be there. They would be just plain white, because you would have had to purl back to get stocking stitch, not knit back. One of the confusing things about charts the very first time you start using them, especially for flat knitting, is that the knit stitches are represented by a blank box on the right side, but when you're on the wrong side, they're represented by a dot. And that is purely so that the work looks like the chart. I don't know if I explained that very well. But anyway, that's just a little introduction into knitting from a chart for flat knitting. So let's actually start knitting from the chart. Let's have a look what we'll need to do. We need to 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 knit stitches, then nothing, no stitch, which means you just ignore those boxes and move on to the next white one. It's not very clear sometimes when you're first reading a chart what you're supposed to do when there's a no stitch, but really it literally does mean pretend it's not there. The chart writer has to accommodate for the fact that we're decreasing and reducing stitches. So by the end, you're just left with one. This is a center double decrease. So that would be, there would be 3 stitches going down to 1 here. So there's 1 plus 3 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So before we knit that row, we should have 5 stitches. And yeah, that's you'll end up with 3 at the end. But at the beginning of it, there's a lot more stitches. Remember, we've got 16 stitches. So that's why you've got these grey wedges in the chart. Yeah, so it literally means ignore that box. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 knits, and then we've got this slanting line, which is an SSK. And then we've got a yarn over, and then we've got a knit 2 together, then an SSK, then a yarn over, then a knit 2 together, and then 4 stitches. So let's see if that marries up with what's on our needles. So let's do, so we're going to knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then ignore, and then SSK, 1, 2, which is what we've been doing, isn't it? You'll already be used to this. Then yarn over, which is yarn forward in English knitting, and then I'm going to knit 2 together. Oh, it'd be good if I was on the camera, sorry about that. Okay, so we've got a yarn over, knit 2 together, then slip our marker, which doesn't tell you to do that on the chart, so you just have to know to do that. And then we've got an SSK. The yarn over, and knit 2 together. And let's see, we've got 4 stitches left, and there's our 4 stitches on our chart that are left over after when we get to the end of the row. Sorry about that, off screen. Okay, done. Now turn. Now what do we do on this row? So let's move our piece of paper up to row 68, and you'll see all of the black dots. There's nothing else other than black dots all the way across. So they mean when we're on the right side, we purl, but if we're on the wrong side, we knit. We are on the wrong side. So we're going to knit every stitch, which you already know from what you've been doing. It's not going to be like that for the whole rest of the pattern, but I think that might be our last one actually. I'll just see, knit, slip the marker when you come to it. Oops, I'll drop it. Knit, knit. Some charts don't include this row at all. They'll just include the even rows or the right side rows. That's a bit confusing for me when that happens, so I prefer to see my wrong sides on the chart as well, even if they're plain. Okay, so flipping. Now we're on the right side again, and this time we're up to row 69. So we're going to read it again from here where the little number of 69 is and go across. So what can I see? I've got 1, 2, 3 plain knit stitches, then ignore, then we've got our SSK, yarn over, knit 2 together, SSK, yarn over, knit 2 together, and then knit 3 stitches. So let's do that. Knit 3 stitches. 1, 2, 8, then we've got this SSK, yarn over, or yarn forward. Knit 2 together, pass the marker, slip marker, SSK, yarn forward, knit 2 together, knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next row, row 70. We're starting from, that's out of shot. We're starting from the left hand side. Now let's have a look here. We've got plain knits. Remember the dots on the wrong side are knits. Then we've got a knit 2 together, 2 knits, an SSK, and then 3 knits. So this time we've got action on the wrong side, which we haven't up until now. We've had plain rows right up until this point. So we're going to knit 3. Remember, we're reading from this side this time. Now we've got a knit 2 together, then a knit 2. Our marker might be in the way. We're going to move it here and see what happens in the next row. That's 1, 2, marker in the middle, and we're going to slip, slip, knit those 2. That was a yarn over, we were slip, slip knitting just then. And then knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're up to row 71. So just moving our piece of paper up, and this time we've got 1, 2, 3 knits, an SSK, knit 2 together, 3 knits. 1, 2, 3 knits, an SSK, marker's okay for now. I think it will come off soon. And then knit 2 together, then 3 knits. 1, 2, 3. Now let's move our paper up. This time we're coming from the left hand side. So we've got 3 knits, a knit 2 together, and 3 knits. It's time to remove our marker. Doesn't say in the chart. You just have to use common sense. You can't knit your marker into the work. So just when you come to it, it does say in the reader, mind you, but anyway. So knit 3, I'll just mark that up there. Knit 2 together. Now we can't do that with our marker in the way, so let's just pop it off. And then knit 2 together. And knit 3. 2, 3. Okie dokes. Next, let's go with that. We're coming back from the right side this way, and now we've got this center double decrease. So let's have a look. We've got 2 knit stitches, center double decrease, and 2 knit stitches. So for the center double decrease, again, you can probably find different methods, but basically you're reducing 3 stitches down to 2. So let's have a look. In the abbreviations on the pattern, I explain how to do it, but I'll show you now. So knit the first 2. This can also be called an S2KPO or an SK2PO, whatever it's called. This is how I do it. So I'm going to slip the next 2 stitches knitwise, and I'm going to do them both together like that. Then I'm going to knit 1, and then I'm going to pass these 2 slipped stitches back over. And you can sort of see, I hope, it's hard to see, that center stitch is sort of straight. It's not leaning one way or another. It's just straight. And then I'm going to knit the last 2 stitches. Okay, now I've got 5. So then the next final row, 74. You're going to 1 knit, another center double decrease, and then 1 knit, and then that will bring us to our last 3 stitches. So we're going to do this: knit 1, slip 2 stitches, knit 1, pass the 2 slip stitches back over. Give it a wiggle, and then knit the last stitch. And now we've got 3 stitches left. So that's basically our completed washer. How good. Move on so you can see it. Does it fit on screen? I wonder if I can zoom out. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, there's my tripod legs. Now it's all a bit curly, bumpy, but once you've finished, you're going to wet block it and then pat it out. It will get nice and flat again. This is the wrong side, and on the right side, it's pretty reversible, but I'll show you how I can tell. And then that's the right side. So here, across here, there's garter bumps that go across, and on the wrong side there aren't, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day which side is which. So that's it. If you wanted to end it there, you can cast those stitches off and you've got just a nice, lovely face washer. But if you want to make the hanging loop, then we'll do an icord right now, and I'll show you how to do that. So that was fun. I hope all of the lace part made sense in the end and following the chart. If you didn't want to follow the chart, you could just follow the written, and that would have been fine as well. So now we're going to knit an icord. I wanted, on the pattern I explained that sometimes icord knitting you have 3 stitches on the needle, and then if you're using a circular needle or a double pointed needle, they have you slide these 3 stitches to the other end of the needle and then knit them with the yarn on the other side like this. But if you're using straight needles, or you've got a really long cord and you don't want to faff around with it by dragging it all the time, there is another method which I'll show you now, because I wanted people who are using straight needles to be able to knit this as well. So if you don't want to do that, what you can do instead is, once you're in this position and your yarn is here where it normally would be, I want you to slip those 3 stitches like this onto your other needle, and then with the yarn in the far left hand side, knit those 3 stitches. Now it doesn't look right at the beginning. It takes about 3 or 4 rows of an icord to make sense. So if you have a look at the back, it looks weird. Don't worry, it will come good. So here's our working yarn, and I'm slipping purlwise 3 stitches onto my other needle with my yarn over at the far left hand side, I'm going to knit those 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Let's take another look at it. Starting to look good on the front, still a bit funny on the back. So let's do another one. By the way, you can see here, there's my working yarn is on the edge. I'm going to move it across 1, 2, 3, and then start knitting with it from over there. And you just keep knitting until it's the length you want it to be. Okay, have a look. Now it's starting to look like a cord, like a little enclosed rope. So it took that many rows for it to start to look like an I-cord. So just recapping, if you've got a circular needle or a double pointed needle, you can drag the 3 stitches to the other end and then start knitting them. But if you want to skip all that dragging and fussing, or if you haven't got a double pointed needle to make that easy, then just slip them onto your needle, especially if you've only got 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Oops. How long? Now, the length of I-cord really depends. If you're giving as a gift, then it doesn't have to be very long. It's just a token to, so that they can hang it on something. So if there's a hook in the bathroom or something like that, then that makes sense. If it's for you, then have a look at your bathroom and see where you're going to put it. If you'd like to hang it on the tap or the faucet, whatever you might call it, have a look how wide or how long it would need to be, this loop, for it to be able to fit. So there's nothing worse than if you make it too short, so then you can't actually wrap it over the tap or whatever. So that's a bit short, isn't it? So we're just going to keep going until it feels right. There's no rules. One restriction might be that if you want to get 2 washes out of 1 ball of yarn, then just make sure that you haven't used more than half of your ball if it's your first one. And I do that by weighing my ball before I begin. Knit, 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 and then weigh it again when you're finished, and just check that you've got at least half of it left to make a second one. And just keeping on slipping and knitting. I think in the pattern I mentioned 20 rows. Did I mention? Might not have. I just said when it's long enough. Let's see, is it long enough? No. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How do you count this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'll just do the last few in Continental. Tangled, and maybe I'll zoom in again. you're finished, you're just going to turn the work going to slip your 3 stitches and then put your needle through all 3 if you can. And knit all 3 stitches together. Nope. You're going to go for all 3 stitches. Oh, it's quite tricky to get the needle into all 3. So just do your best to do that, and then wrap. I can't get my needle all the way in, so just do your best to get it in there so that you can get all 3 stitches like that, and then give it a good tug. If you couldn't do that, if knitting all 3 stitches was too hard, then you can do the same thing as we did with the double center decrease and slip 2 stitches and then knit 1 and then pull those 2 over that 1, and that would do the same thing. We just want to fasten off the last 3 stitches really. Do I have a pair of scissors? Okay, here we are. Just pull that through, snip it off. And that's complete. So the last step of our pattern is to sew that onto the other side. Let's take our tapestry needle, wool needle, what you're happy with, and sort of try and hide the thread a little bit so it's not too obvious. But also want to make it nice and strong so that if you do hang a wet washer from the loop, that it's not going to come undone or anything. Okay, so now I'm just going to hide this thread by weaving in and out of the stitches. Again, there's no rules. I'm just going to do what looks good. Put it through there, go back up. You don't need to use the whole tail, just until you feel it's secure. Check both sides, make sure that it still looks good, and then if you like, you can thread it, go all the way up to the inside of the I-cord a little way, so you can see it's going in the middle of the stitches, and pull it out and snip it off, and that will hide the edge. The edge will just slip in there and it'll be all done. You have one more end to do. This is what makes this such an easy gift project, because you don't have a million ends to weave in afterwards. You just have 2. So just pop it through. The hole might be a little small for this yarn, that's okay. And then let's hide this as well. Go in and out of the stitches, in between the layers of fabric, so you can't see it on either side. And when you're sewing in ends, you want to make little tiny stitches. Don't try and have the yarn travel too far away, because otherwise you'll see it. So if you keep to the size of the stitches, then it'll be invisible on both sides, which is what you want. So you just go in and out through the stitches. Maybe take it right to the end. That's enough. Give it a bit of a wiggle and snip it off. And it's finished. We have our finished face washer or washcloth or whatever your name for it will be. Dishcloth, no. Yes, if you want. No rules, like I said. Okay. So when you're finished, if you make a few of them, then just put them in a bath. Just give them a little wash, some tepid water, and immerse them, and then squeeze the water out. Maybe pop it on a hand towel or something to pat some water out, and then lay them flat to dry on an area or something. And then you'll just make the stitches look perfect. You know, if you're in a hurry, then I guess this is fine because they're going to wet them anyway, aren't they? There's our loop. Fab. Great gift.